There's a lot of people, John, who think that Il Doctore Stunad Anthony Fauci may be about to experience an unprecedented loss of function. How are you tonight, John?
I'm well, Jason. It's good to see you. I
You
saw
too.
you. I saw you earlier walking around on looked like
Ditto
Alice in
Island?
Wonderland Island. Yeah, Alice in Wonderland over there with the hypno disc. And
Yeah, that was weird,
I
wasn't it?
was hoping you would. Yeah, I was hoping you'd stay there for like 10 more seconds.
In a
I was
trance.
almost deep. Yeah, almost. Very
It's a
effective.
weird place. I want to compliment you, John, on an amazing and frankly historic bit of expert testimony during yesterday's Citizens Grand Jury. I'd show a little bit of it, but I think we could probably show it without the audio. We got it jammed up as usual with YouTube. People can still see it. Oh, I should send you the link so that you can post it on your Subscribe Star as well. But people are going to be able to watch our sponsor exclusive segment in an hour on subscribestar.com/I am John Cullen, patreon.com/I am John Cullen, or Subscribestar and Patreon for Crowdsource the Truth. People can also see yesterday's Citizens Grand Jury there on Subscribestar. To the effort, but people are asking. We can also see it by going to Rumble. And people who are visiting Rumble are going to know that Crowdsource the Truth is on there at CS The Truth. All you got to do is go to rumble.com, search for CS The Truth. You can see Larry Klayman's Citizens Grand Jury featuring expert testimony from the great John Cullen, as well as Dr. Judy Mikovits and Kent Heckenlively. Pretty annoying that YouTube took it off, huh?
Well, I guess this was a copyright claim on the part of
Sinclair.
Sinclair, yeah. So, yeah, tiny clip of, and I think the frustrating part is this is a grand jury testimony, right? This is Dr. Judy giving testimony to actual grand jurors, right? I mean, this isn't a joke. I don't know if the audience
What? That's the clip.
What?
Well, this is the part that we got jammed up for, and then it just
yeah,
got
well,
on
don't play it.
I'm trying.
Oh.
It's.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just turned it off.
Okay.
Man.
All right. So that's
become such a restrictive society.
But that was evidence.
John.
It's absurd. The point was that you were playing this clip. Larry was showing the clip to the grand jury, and in Larry's show, the Citizens Grand Jury. I don't know if the audience understands this. You have real grand jury people in the Zoom thing that the audience doesn't know about.
Right.
So the audience needs to know when Larry's talking to the grand jury, there's people in the Zoom call that you guys don't know about. Right. I saw them when I came in. Right. There were a whole bunch of people there. I don't know who the hell those people were. That's the grand jury. Right. So I don't want the audience to think this is like a joke or a charade. There's people there. Right.
And not only that, John, so there are long-term plans. You've stated your desire, once Larry has gone through all this, to do yet another, impanel another grand jury to hear testimony and to evaluate evidence from eyewitnesses, expert witnesses regarding the Las Vegas shooting. I mean, again, the people that mock this process or try to belittle anything that we do on Crowdsource the Truth or anything that Larry is doing at Freedom Watch, they're doing that because they're social engineers and they're trying to chip away at our efforts. And rather than, coming together to build something up, there are always those people who want to break it down. And my hope for the grand jury, let's talk for a minute about the one that you have proposed. We're going to put together affidavits and legal documents and things that will be presented in a legal, format and provided ultimately, hopefully, with the Las Vegas case, to the Nevada State Attorney General, and we're going to compel him first as citizens, and then later, if we have to, through mandamus suits or whatever the legal process is to move this forward. Right. People criticize me as being a statist, but I'm not the kind of guy who runs up to the Capitol and busts in. I'd rather get a lawyer. I'd rather impanel people and operate within the context of the law to try to change things.
That's why I love Larry. I mean, Larry, to me, is like the coach, right? So to me, you're the Tom Brady, Larry's the coach, and I want to, I don't want to go to jail. You don't want to go to jail, right? I don't want the FBI barging in on my family like they did with Dr. Judy, like they did with Dr. Simone Gold, like they did with, say what you will, but they did it to Roger Stone too. So that's I'm incognito. I saw this coming. I knew that they were going to do the ad hominem attacks, and I don't want my children to have to endure that. Right. So
well, Dr. and there's Judy something that we're not discussing because I can't remember if you said it on air or not.
No, I haven't. Right. Dr. Judy was put in jail for 5 nights.
That's a lot
for being a doctor. He's married, and her husband, her husband's got COPD, right? She shared that, and that's not a secret. And so again, at what point is it tyranny? Warrantless searches, no-knock warrants, Dr. Simone Gold, Dr. Judy Mikovits. At what point is it tyranny? Right? So
let me pause you a second, John, because you're aware of this ongoing problem that I've been chasing. It's a litany of problems across different systems. Here, the problem is still happening. I've been in touch with. Hopefully, be resolved soon. I have a little workaround here that resolves it temporarily, but it needs constant attention. I do want to remind viewers that they can always watch simulcasts of our broadcasts here on YouTube by going to the John E. Hoover YouTube channel. I want to thank the more than 150 people who are watching us there right now. But make sure you subscribe to the John E. Hoover YouTube channel, and we're going to be getting in depth on our sponsor exclusive segment in about 45 minutes. John, what are we going to be talking about tonight once we transition over to subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen, patreon.com/IamJohnCullen, and the other ones?
Well, we're going to start with what we're not going to talk about on YouTube. So we're not going to run any more video clips on YouTube. Period. No more video clips on YouTube, because we did a 2-hour show with Larry Klayman, Dr. Judy Mikovits, Kent Lively, who's an attorney, right, and an author, right, and we had a whole bunch, right, and you have a whole bunch of people in the grand jury in the Zoom thing watching all this, and you think about the amount of energy and research that went into this test, and it get pulled because of a 1 minute and 40-second clip of Eric Bowling that was being entered into evidence, is the point.
Very bad.
Right? So I don't know. I very questionable from my perspective. All right. So what we're going to talk about tonight, when we go patron only, we're going to take a look at a video that was filmed, I think, yesterday. This was an interview with Rand Paul and Brian Kilmeade, and we can't run this on YouTube for fear of they'll strike the whole show. So we'll run this when we go to Patreon and Subscribestar, and you'll see whether you're Crowdsource the Truth Subscribestar or I Am John Cullen Subscribestar. You'll see the same thing. So we're going to run this video, and the thing that's interesting here is it appears that somebody in the audience, or a number of people in the audience, probably was a dozen or 2 dozen of you guys, sent one of the bedtime stories that I did. So I've been doing a series called Bedtime Stories. And what I'm doing is I'm reading like articles and official documents from the CDC and the FDA. And one of the bedtime stories they did right there in the top row, the second from the right, was the Dr. Kawaoka. Right? And the name of the bedtime story is Dr. Kawaoka, I presume. And this was the bedtime story where we find out about the University of Wisconsin and the gain of function research this lunatic is doing, not on coronaviruses, but on the deadliest virus known to man. So you start with the deadliest virus known to man, and then what he's doing is trying to figure out how to make it more deadly. Just
what
in
is
case
his stated purpose? John, how the hell can somebody do that?
That's the bedtime story. Now, the fascinating part about all of this is my uncle, Ray Kurzweil, is
Your
a Google
uncle?
fellow.
He's your
Now he's
uncle?
my uncle. I'm
Oh.
adopting him. I'm adopting him. So Ray
You're
Ray
not actually
Kurzweil,
related to Ray Kurzweil.
not that we're aware of, but I guarantee you we probably are. If we go back a couple thousand years, we'll find a common ancestor.
Right.
So Ray Kurzweil is a senior fellow at Google. He invented the Kurzweil reading machine, the Braille machine. He invented the scanner that's on top of the copy machine. And he
What?
and Bill Joy, yeah, that's his patent. Yeah,
I thought he was like writing virtual reality books or something.
He went in that direction. But Ray Kurzweil, like when he was 17 years old, he had patents. He's like a modern day Tesla. He is a brilliant man who ends up going down kind of now. How old is he?
No, 17. You said. Yeah.
When he was 17. You know, well, I just pull the number. You and your numbers. All right. So the net of it is he and Bill Joy. Bill Joy was the other founder of Sun, and Bill Joy and Ray Kurzweil write this article. Right, Sun microcomputers, where Sun was a big deal back in in the 90s and 2000s. Yeah. So the two of them write this article basically saying Dr. Fauci and the CDC and the NIH and Jeffrey Taubenberger and Johann Holton and Anne Reid are out of their minds. What are they doing?
Yeah, he's right.
Are they going to resurrect Tyrannosaurus Rex next?
Someone wants
because
to do that,
they can.
I'm sure. Right.
They can, and you're going to have a woolly mammoth at the Bronx Zoo within 10 years. They're out of their minds. They're out of their minds. It's Jurassic Park. Michael Crichton tried to warn us about this stuff as early as, Andromeda strain, I think was 69, 68. I mean, real early on. The fact that they're doing this stuff. And so this Dr. Kawaoka story, this bedtime story that we did with Dr. Kawaoka, somebody in the audience appears to have sent it. A bunch of them seem to have sent it to Rand Paul, and it looks like he listened to it because he shows up on the Brian Kilmeade show yesterday morning, and out of nowhere mentions gain of function on the Spanish flu.
That's the first time anybody not on this show has spoken about it that I'm aware of.
I believe that to be true. Now, if we're wrong and everybody's been talking about gain of function on the Spanish flu for the last 3 months, please let us know. Send us a link. But I think this was you guys sending the bedtime story to Rand Paul, and I think he listened to it. So, to Jason's point, when we do something like a citizen's grand jury, Larry Klayman is kind of a legendary guy. I mean, for those of you who if you don't know who Larry Klayman is, it's just because you don't have that deep a history into all this. But, if you've seen Tom Fitton on television, Larry Klayman started the company that now you see Tom Fitton at. That was Larry Klayman. Right? Larry Klayman started Judicial Watch, right? He started it, and then he left. Yes. Right. And then he left
to run
and now
for Senate. He left to run for Senate in Florida.
Right. But so the guy you see on television, the Tom Fitton, it's like same thing with Wendy's. The guy you see on TV or the Colonel Sanders. That's not the real Colonel. Larry Klayman is the real Colonel. Right. He started it. He started the damn thing, not Tom Fitton.
Did you know
Tom Fitton's not even an attorney? What's Tom Fitton? A freaking bodybuilder? He's not an attorney. All he does is like lift weights all day. He's got the big arms, but he's not an attorney.
Did you know that in the show, not West Wing, what's the other one? House of Cards, I think? Maybe West Wing. There was a character called Harry Claypool that was Larry.
Absolutely, that's Larry. Absolutely, Claypool is Larry. There's no doubt. We talked about that when he came on the show, or I came on his show. Yeah. That's Larry on West Wing for sure. You should show that to the audience. So the reason we do this, what I was going to say is the reason we do this is, so again, people who watch West Wing and know who that character is in Washington, they know that's Larry Klayman. They know full well who that is, right? So when we do a grand jury, don't think these people aren't watching. They're watching. They know Larry's not playing games, right? Larry Klayman sued the NSA. You talk about guts.
And
Larry
won,
Klayman he enjoined them, right? He got them enjoined.
He got an injunction.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. So the people in Washington know he's not playing games, right? So when we do these citizen grand juries, don't think for a minute people aren't watching. And that's what tonight's show is about. Who is watching? And now are they starting to represent this research as their own? And we're going to take a closer look at that. Are other investigative journalists starting to report things that they're finding here at Crowdsource the Truth, whether it's at David Hawkins' show, our show, but are they taking the information now and starting to report it as their own elsewhere? We're going to take a look at that tonight and let the audience decide. What do they think? What do you got here? What am I looking at here?
This is just a list of characters from West Wing it's not on screen. Okay. That's Claypool.
All right. Why don't we bop over to that PDF deck and I'll show people what we got tonight. All right, so we're gonna go to this video later with Rand Paul. We'll do that when we go to Patreon only on Subscribestar and Patreon. All right, so this video is kind of the video that started a little bit of a revolution, and I don't know. Can you zoom in on the date on that one? What was the date that I did this?
May 10th.
All right, so this was May the 10th. Okay, so May the 10th. We did a bedtime story where I read the FDA's emergency use authorization explained. Okay. Sounds like a boring thing. That's why we call them bedtime stories, right? Who the hell wants to read the FDA's emergency use authorization, right?
Soporific.
So I read the thing, and as I'm reading it, I get goosebumps. Okay. Now I'm recording it, you record the stuff and then I do a little post-production, put the front bumper, the back bumper on. So I'm reading the one that I just showed you in the thing called, emergency use authorization explained. And I get goosebumps as I read a certain sentence. There's a certain sentence in there that basically explains what's going on. Now, we covered this a week or so ago. All right. And if you go to the next slide. Yeah, go show everybody the next slide now. So what I did is I made a meme and I posted the meme on May the 17th. Okay, so the bedtime story was May the 10th. I wanted to see, that anybody realized what was said. Nobody really picked up on it. And on May 17th, I posted this meme. Okay, and now let's go to the next slide. All right, and this was the meme. And you and I think this was 2 weeks ago, we talked about the show and we ran a clip of Tucker Carlson with Dr. Peter McCullough. And Peter McCullough was talking about and wondering about the efficacy of certain alternative therapeutic treatments. Mm-hmm. And Tucker was like, why would they do this? Why would they do this? And so what I posted was, hypothetically speaking, this might be why. And the reason was you cannot get an emergency use authorization for vaccine if there's adequate approved.
Right. So, John, do you realize what you've located here?
What would you call
medical
this?
lawfare?
Okay.
Because what they need to do is to create a legal circumstance under which this law will apply. And I allege that this is exactly what Dershowitz did when he came on the show, and I surprised him right out of the gate with essentially a legal punch in the nose. The second he came out of his corner, I said, Dershowitz, by the definition of a vaccine, according to the CDC, what Pfizer and Moderna have is not a vaccine. And I can tell now that I hit the heart of his argument because he got super upset right away.
I made a video about it. I made a video about you embarrassing Dershowitz. Yeah, because it was stunning. It was stunning.
Didn't they pull that video?
You pinned. No, I think I might have pulled it because I was afraid he was going to sue me.
Yes.
For that. Yeah. So I think I pulled it. Well, I don't know if it's still up. Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt. All right. But to your point, this is, what did you call it? It's not lawfare. It's law what? This is law.
Medical lawfare.
Medical lawfare. All right. So what we learned reading the FDA document in the show, in the bedtime story, and then what I posted in the meme, and then what I did in a Tucker Carlson video another day or two later, was highlight that according to the FDA's rules, in order for there to be an emergency use authorization granted, certain statutory criteria have to be met, including that there's no adequate, approved, or available alternatives. So if any of these other therapeutic treatments were found to be effective, you wouldn't get the emergency use authorization. Now, what that means is that Moderna and Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson would need to wait until the full clinical trial was complete to get the FDA approval.
Years.
Okay. Well, I don't know. We'd have to ask somebody.
A 4-year adverse reaction. There's a period of testing with normal vaccines for adverse reactions. And that alone is 4 years. Forget about animal testing. There's a challenge phase. There's all kinds of stuff that they didn't do to get to this.
So simply, if there had been an adequate, approved and available alternative, then they're not going to give you an emergency use authorization. So I presented this hypothetically as sort of, if there's some subterfuge here and, it wasn't, just a purely medical decision, this might be the reason. Right. So let's go to the next slide, because I was presenting this first subtly in a bedtime story, then not so subtly in a meme. Right. And now go to the next slide. Then I made a video about it.
Oh, yeah.
And the video was called Tucker Carlson's Wild Goose Chase. And this is his interview with Dr. Peter McCullough. And Peter McCullough is dumbfounded. Can't understand why he's getting the kind of pushback he's getting. And at the end of the video, I present this hypothesis, okay, that here's why, right? So let's go to the next slide. Okay. So then what happens is 2 days after my Tucker Carlson video, which is the third thing I've published with this content, right? So first I did the bedtime story, then I did the meme, then I did the Tucker Carlson video, all with the same conclusion. Brett Weinstein and his wife, Heather, go on the Dark Horse podcast. Now, this is 2 days after my
Isn't
Tucker
that Brett's
Carlson
podcast,
video.
Dark Horse? That's his regular show.
Yeah. His show. Yeah. So he and his wife go on the show, and his wife reveals this information as if she's just discovered it.
A lot of ums coming out of his wife.
A lot of ums. Okay, so she presents this information as if she did the research, she found it. Now, if that happened coincidentally within 48 hours of me disclosing it, after 15 months of research that we just both happened to come to the same conclusion within 48 hours, and she was unaware of any of my 3 pieces that were published, that's a wild coincidence. Now, why does this matter? Why do I care about what Brett Weinstein is saying? Well, we're going to talk about that, right? So again, I published the memes, I published the bedtime stories, I published the video. Why does it matter what Brett Weinstein is saying? Well, let's go to the next slide.
This one?
No, next, after that. Next one.
Seems the same.
Yeah, keep going.
Wait, we've got some duplicate slides here.
That's my fault. I'm just a dope.
Well, this is what I was going to say, is that he'll now go on Joe Rogan and spin it somehow. Probably.
Well, all right. Well, so let's start with, if you don't know who Brett Weinstein is, he and his brother Eric. So Eric is like a super genius who works for Peter Thiel at Thiel Capital. But Brett Weinstein is a biology PhD who was teaching at Evergreen University, and there was this whole thing at Evergreen back in 2017 with he and his wife Heather, and they both separated from the university, but they're both in the biology world. And Heather is like the world's leading researcher on poison tree frogs in Madagascar. So if you want to know about the mating habits of the poison tree frog in Madagascar, Heather Haling, that's where you go. She's the go-to person. That's what she got her PhD in. Now, when Brett Weinstein shows up on Joe Rogan, I think he got 7 million views. Is that what that says down in the corner there? Zoom in on that corner.
Oh, wow, yes.
Down.
Whoa.
Zoom in, see if the audience can see that. 7.7 million views, right? So if Brett Weinstein goes on Joe Rogan and gets 7.7 million views and tells the world stuff that I researched and found, that's, it's not really nice.
But what did he say? I didn't see this episode. He's been on Joe Rogan a lot. And also now you have to watch Spotify to get Joe Rogan. I'm not really watching.
Yeah. No, this was last summer. So this was just the point being that when Brett Weinstein shows up on Joe Rogan, he gets 7.7 million views. Now, I'm not going to kid you. I thought that Eric Weinstein and Brett Weinstein were the same guy. I didn't realize it. When I first saw Eric Weinstein.
That's the most similar picture I've ever seen of the two of them. Is that?
Well, they're both sitting in the same chair. Yeah, they're sitting in the same chair in the same studio.
It just looks like the guy shaved his beard.
Yeah, well, they're brothers. One's Eric and one's Brett.
They're not twins, though.
So one's a mathematician. Yeah, one's a math geek and one's a bio geek. All right, but when I first saw, I don't think so. But when I first saw Eric, I didn't realize it was two different guys. I just thought Eric Weinstein, that was the guy. And when he came back on the show, when the brother came on in June, I thought he grew a beard. So I'm not going to lie. All right, so now here's why it's also important. Brett Weinstein and Heather get on Bill Maher on HBO.
Wow.
And they're the ones talking about the Wuhan story. So when we go patron only, we're going to run this clip and we're going to listen to the conversation. And this is the lab leak Wuhan story the two of them are talking about with Bill Maher back in January. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're going to listen to that when we go patron only because we can't run that during YouTube. But this, again, these guys are getting on HBO on Bill Maher.
Well, can I share my opinion with you about this?
Please do. Please do.
They're social engineers, in my opinion.
I agree with you.
Because 7 million views, why it seems maybe probably more views than CNN.
How many views did this video get? This is Bill Maher on, and how many views is this? Can you zoom in there? What's that?
Well, 2 million subscribers, 1.2 million views.
1.2. Yeah,
that's
2 million views for Brett. That's a lot of views for Brett and his wife on Bill Maher talking about Wuhan. That's a lot of views. When my videos get 2,500 views. So the point is, these two are professors. These are PhDs. They're professors. They taught at a college. They write books. Stealing other people's research and presenting it as your own. You're supposed to cite. Well, that's what we're going to take a look at. Right. Yeah. So we're going to take a look at how does she present the research? And since we can't radio, we might be able to listen to some audio. We might be able to do that. But let's go to the next slide. And again, the point is that I want the audience to decide. Right. Let's go to the next slide.
We want to be careful about not getting dinged over here.
Right. So she shows Brett this piece that I've been, showcasing for at the point now 2 weeks. Right. So I've already been talking about it for 2 weeks. Can I play the audio? Is that okay?
I just don't think you should, because that could just as easily get a copyright
Trip
flag.
It? Okay,
see, there's some people who are going to say, "Oh, you're afraid of getting taken off of YouTube." But the point is, we want to share information with the maximum number of people. And if we do something that's got a high probability of getting the channel taken off, That's not smart. I'm trying to figure out how to navigate this environment so we can hopefully get to a place one day where YouTube will be legally held accountable for doing things that they should not be allowed to do. And if we're eliminated from YouTube, we can't do that. People who really want to help us achieve that, the best route to doing it is becoming a sponsor on Subscribestar or Patreon.
Exactly. All right, let's go back to our deck and we'll move on and we'll play the videos and the audio when we go Patreon only, and everybody will get to see that, and that'll be great.
This is the deck.
All right. Jump ahead. Okay. So now what do you do when somebody like Heather Haling presents your information as her own? What do I do? We shift into ludicrous mode. And you know what ludicrous mode is, right? So we shift into ludicrous mode, and ludicrous mode is where we just leave Heather in the dust, because as Heather and Brett are discussing our breaks from 2 weeks ago, right? So you and I were talking about this 2 weeks ago. We're going to shift into ludicrous mode and take it to the next level. Heather's talking about the FDA. You and I, we're about to cite the U.S. Code.
Huh.
Okay.
Well,
we're about to say, is this legal? And the answer, I believe, is no, it's not. Now, what makes me say that? What makes me say it's not legal? Well, what makes me say it's not legal, and we'll share this with Larry next time we're together, is something called U.S. Code, Title 21, Chapter 9, Subchapter 5, Part E, Subsection 360, BB3, Authorization for Medical Products for Use in Emergencies. Okay. So while Heather is playing footsie with the FDA, we shift into ludicrous mode and we take it to the next level. And we say, bye-bye, Heather. I'm doing the backstroke, honey. This is what it feels like to get lapped. Okay. We're going to go to the U.S. Code. And if we look now, so go in the deck, can you zoom in on what it says in the U.S. Code, highlighted in blue? Go back up.
It says
highlighted in blue. What does that say?
There is no. Well, let's. I want to get this on the actual website so we can interact with it. So this is 21 USC section 330 360 BBB-3. This is good work finding this, John. This is not the easiest thing in the world to research, but
this is what
here
we
we've
do.
Got authorization for medical products in U.S. emergencies. So which subsection are you looking for?
All right. So now we're going to go down to where it says that there is no adequate approved. Keep going. That there is no adequate approved and available alternative. Maybe you can just do alternative. Yeah.
There we go. So here this is saying, I want to go up because there's always criteria for issuance of authorization. So the secretary may issue an authorization under this section with respect to the emergency use of a product only if, after consultation with the assistant secretary. Now, this is the secretary of what? Health and Human Services?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay. So, only after consultation with the assistant secretary for preparedness and response, the director.
That was remember Dr. Nicole Laurie? When Jim Jordan was questioning Dr. Nicole Laurie about Ebola, and it's featured in a lot of my videos, she is the assistant secretary for preparedness and response. And he drills her and says, so you're the one responsible for this. And she's like, yes. So that's that role. Now we have somebody else in that role now, but that was kind of historic. And then the director of the National Institutes of Health, right? So you know who that is, right? That's Francis Collins. Right. So that's Walensky.
Redfield is the director of the CDC at the time.
Okay. Right. So now keep going, get to the meaty part of it. It's like, this is, so if there's no adequate approved or available alternative,
concluding that an agent referred to in a declaration under subsection B can cause serious or life-threatening disease. So we had that.
That's
Two,
COVID-19, right?
right? That was their conclusion, their legal conclusion based on medical fallacies, alleged now that Fauci's emails are coming out.
All right.
Based
Just,
on the totality of scientific evidence available to the secretary, including data from adequate and well-controlled clinical trials is available, it is reasonable to believe that A, the product may be effective. Sorry, this is for
the vaccine.
Where we're talking about there is
right. So
no
they're saying
adequate
right.
product.
So the vaccine has to be effective treating or preventing the disease. Right. So they're saying if you want to get emergency use authorization, your vaccine has to be effective and or a diagnostics for diagnostic machines, the PCRs. Those are emergency use authorization. Those aren't FDA approved yet. So so for the diagnosing was also emergency use authorization. So in order to get any of this emergency use, you go to number 3. Well, go to 2B, the known and potential benefits of the product, in this case, the vaccine, when used to diagnose, prevent, or treat such disease or condition outweigh the known and potential risks of the product, taking into consideration the material threat posed by the agent or agents identified in the declaration under subsection B1D if applicable. And 3, that there is no adequate, approved, and available alternative to the product, the vaccine, for diagnosing, preventing, or treating such disease or condition. Well, in the previous weeks, in the Tucker Carlson video and in the meme and in the bedtime story, what I was presenting as a hypothesis was, might this have been the reason that the efficacy of certain therapeutics like hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin were suppressed? And, we're not even allowed to mention that on YouTube, right? So you can't even talk about this stuff. So the reason may have been this, and that was a hypothesis that then Heather Haling runs with, is if he didn't know it was U.S. code, reading from something that looks like a placemat from the FDA. It looks like a kid made it. Looks like somebody in high school put it together, right? So she's looking at some childish crap from the FDA. We're looking at U.S. code, but now we're going to shift into what? Is there a higher mode than ludicrous?
Yeah, plaid.
Is there so plaid is faster than ludicrous?
You're talking about when they go to hyperspeed in Spaceballs, right?
No, I'm talking about in the Tesla Model S.
That's from Spaceballs. Yeah, the ludicrous is the top of the line Tesla is plaid, because that's what happens in Spaceballs. Okay. And many times Elon Musk has said he likes Spaceballs. That's why they made the flamethrower. He got that idea from yogurt.
I had no idea. All right. So yeah. God bless Elon Musk. All right. So now we're going to shift into plaid. All right. So we just went from FDA to US code. All right. So I'm going to wave bye-bye to Heather. And now we're going to shift into plaid mode. Okay. And now you're not even going to be able to see Heather in the rearview mirror. No. Stay where you were. You were fine. You ready for this one? Just go back to the lingo. Yeah. Go to the slide above Heather, slide above Tucker with the lingo. All right. You ready for this? You ready for this?
Yeah.
How did any vaccine receive emergency use authorization?
I don't know. By lying.
If number 3, is there an adequate, approved, and available alternative? Is there one?
Well, a lot of people think that hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin are too.
So this is where Heather Haling and her husband Brett, this is where you can't see them in the rearview mirror anymore, because we're so fast, we're so far ahead, we're from the future. I'm not talking about hydroxychloroquine. I'm not talking about ivermectin. How did Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson & Johnson receive emergency use authorization if the FDA has already approved remdesivir? There is an approved, adequate, and available alternative that the FDA has not authorized, has approved. I rest my case. The authorization of Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson & Johnson violates violates U.S. code. Hello? See ya, Heather. This is big boy stuff, honey.
I do believe we have
the
some lawyers
authorization,
in the audience.
the FDA's authorization of the Pfizer vaccine and the Johnson & Johnson vaccine violate this U.S. code, Title 21, Chapter 9, Subchapter 5, Part E, Subsection 360, BBB 3, because Remdesivir is FDA approved. And because Remdesivir is FDA approved, you can't give an emergency use authorization to anything. So now the question is,
definitely
how much money? No, well, now the question is how much money is fraudulently connected to this? Because this could be potentially the largest Ketam lawsuit in the history of the country. We have the evidence that we just presented.
You just told everybody.
Well, we have the evidence. I've been presenting the evidence. This is the largest fraud perpetrated by the FDA, I believe, because Remdesivir is approved. I'm not making an interpretation here. I'm citing U.S. code. And if we cite the U.S., well, if there's something approved, you can't get the author. So Remdesivir was approved by the FDA.
It's amazing.
Let's take some questions from the audience. Let's go to the chat room and see what people are saying.
People are speechless, basically.
The authorization of Moderna, the author, how is it legal based on U.S. Code Title 21, Chapter 9, Subchapter 5, Part E? How's it legal if Remdesivir is FDA approved? Now, my Tucker Carlson video premiered May the 22nd. Brett and his wife discover this and start discussing, oh, this is why nobody wanted to talk about hydroxy. 2 days after I published this. Okay. So when you guys want to know, why are we doing these citizens' grand juries? It's because people are watching. It's because Brett's wife is watching. Okay. That's why.
YouTube's definitely watching. Okay. They turn that thing off in less than an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. YouTube's watching. I mean, for example, right? You're going to tell me that Eddie Bravo and Joe Rogan haven't been watching this stuff? Of course they are. Right?
I feel like when I saw that video with Brett Weinstein and his wife, I did have a moment where, because I noticed that they were talking about everything that you've brought up on the show. And I said to myself, you know, I didn't know who these people were until I started watching YouTube. And if their videos are showing up based on what I watch, it's possible that our videos are showing up based on what they watch.
No. I think what's happening is the people in our audience are sending these people links. Yes, actively. Like, for example, the Rand Paul clip that we're going to run. Well, again, I don't think Rand Paul stumbled into my bedtime story. I think that's highly unlikely. In fact,
you don't think he's watching YouTube on the toilet?
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is. But he's probably looking at McLarens and stuff like the rest of us look at, right? But the net of it is, after the bedtime story, the audience was in the comments saying, "I'm sending this to Rand Paul." Right. So that's why I'm like, okay. And then, a couple of days later, he's talking about gain of function with Spanish flu.
Well, see,
who the hell's talking about that other than us?
To get the idea. People are starting to understand how the crowdsource investigation concept works. And when I say that, I'm not saying it as a trademark. I'm saying it as a concept. Crowdsourcing, you are one person. I am one person. One person sends an email to anybody, there's a possibility they'll see it, there's a possibility they won't. If 100 people start emailing any particular person about, and I'm not encouraging anybody to spam anybody, but when there's sensible information coming to somebody from a lot of different sources, they just sort of see it.
At some point, so for example, Reiner Fulmick. Reiner Fulmick has heard about me from Tom Renz. He's heard about me from Carl Schwartz. And I keep showing up in his chat rooms. And every time I show up in his chat room, I tend to dominate the chat and I tend to get noticed by people in the chat. And so again, it's chip away, chip away, chip away, chip away. Right. And eventually, again, either Reiner Fulmick knows that there aren't 10 dead in Shanghai and Beijing. Does he know that there aren't 50 dead in Vietnam? Does he know that there aren't 1,500 dead in Thailand? And Thailand has more people than France, and France has over 100,000 dead. So he's in Germany. Germany's got 90,000 dead or something like that, right? But Vietnam's got more people. Vietnam's got more people than Germany. Germany's got 90,000 dead, and Vietnam's got 50. He doesn't know that.
Well,
how do you go into court and make a case and not know that fundamental fact that there's fewer people dead in China than Iowa? If you go into a courtroom and you don't know that, and I'm on the other side, you're toast. You're toast. I'm going to make you look like a fool.
So Claire is watching on Facebook and telling us that remdesivir was approved May 2020 for hospital use under emergency use authorization. Does that mean it's not?
And then it received full FDA approval. Remdesivir is the only treatment to receive full FDA approval. It is the only
timing of when they
may have first given an emergency and then they received full, but it is the only FDA approved treatment for coronavirus. Now it's not oral, it's intravenous only. And we talked about this. I was talking about this back in January, that the only FDA approved treatment for coronavirus was remdesivir, and that it's intravenous. You don't go to CVS or Walgreens and pick this up. Or you don't walk into Boots Pharmacy and say, I got to get some remdesivir.
Super sick in the hospital and
you get an IV. Correct. So it's the only FDA approved, but we got plenty of it.
Now, wait a minute.
So how did...
But CNN is telling us that it's not. This is 3 weeks ago. Remdesivir also not FDA approved like ivermectin, but can be used via special permit. This is May 11th.
That sounds like that's new information. If you go to the FDA or just type in FDA approved therapeutic COVID, and let's see what we get. We're running up against our time limit, though. I think we're going to have to go to Patreon and subscribe, start Crowdsource the Truth in like 3 minutes or something. And see if you can find the FDA's site.
Here's FDA.gov. Coronavirus update. FDA authorizes additional monoclonal antibody for treatment of COVID-19.
They should have a website for the therapeutics. Go back to your search here. Know your treatment options. There you go. Then the next link. Know your treatment options. Yeah. There you go. Okay, what is the only FDA approved therapeutic? Go down.
What treatments are available for COVID-19? Emergency use authorization. FDA has issued several monoclonal antibody treatments. Blah, blah, blah. Continues. Researchers, what should I do? How can I access these treatments? What if the health information online? I don't know. Where is it telling us?
It looks like they may have pulled it. Because remember, I did some shows saying, what are you going to give me for this? I did a video called, what are you going to give me for that? And the essence of the video was there's only one FDA approved treatment at the time, and that was remdesivir. Now, did they walk that back and turn it back into an emergency use instead of full FDA approval? That I don't know. But at the time I made the video, the only FDA approved therapeutic treatment was remdesivir. And it was not an emergency use authorization. It was full approval.
But here
now
is
FDA approved. There you go.
Veklury chirp or whatever the hell this is.
That's what it is. Veklury. Click on that. It says now FDA approved.
But it's just an ad for. I did click on it a minute ago.
Yeah. What's it say?
Help shorten
now FDA approved.
So this is the brand name for remdesivir, Veklury.
Yes. Yeah. And it says now FDA approved. Back in the link
copy there, but. It says, please see the EUA fact sheet and FDA letter of authorization available at Gilead. Okay. So here's fact
That's
sheet.
for pediatric.
FDA emergency use.
No. That's for pediatric. You fell into a trap. Go back.
This is a lot of legal, complicated stuff. We're going to need some lawyers to help us look at this.
All right. But what we do know is the only FDA approved treatment is this remdesivir. The product name is Veklury, okay, from Gilead, and that it was approved. If you go back one more click on your back button, the link says now FDA
approved. But I would
as an
prefer
FDA approved.
Write that, no?
It's their website. What do you mean anybody could write that? What do you mean anybody could write that? It's their website. Well,
because it could be FDA approved to treat something else, and that it would be an off-label thing to have it for COVID. This is a complicated thing.
Scroll down on your search. Scroll down. No. It's not. It's either FDA approved or it isn't.
October 22nd, 20, FDA approved for use in adults and pediatric patients for the treatment of COVID-19. This is FDA.gov saying this. So wait a minute.
All right, so if it was approved on October 22nd, 2020.
There it is. Okay. Is remdesivir approved by the FDA to treat COVID-19? This is an FDA document here. And it does say on October 22nd, 2020, FDA approved Veklury, remdesivir, for use in adults and pediatric patients 12 years of age and older and weighing at least 40 kilograms for the treatment of COVID-19 requiring hospitalization. Veklury should only be administered in a hospital or in a healthcare setting capable of providing acute care comparable to inpatient hospital care. So this is pretty clear, a document from the FDA that we just got from the FDA website that confirms what you say, John. Well done again. Crazy. I mean, has anybody broken open
FDA approved.
More?
No. Well, you want to, but the net of this is this was October 22nd, right? October 22nd. The vaccine did not receive emergency use authorization until after October 22nd.
December or something, right?
Right. Joe Biden didn't get his till December. So if you want to look up now, so we know October 22nd was when remdesivir got its. When did Moderna get their emergency use authorization? You'll find a quick article about Moderna authorized, Moderna vaccine authorized, or I'll bet you find it in 2 seconds. Okay. Do we have a date? Did they give us like a news story date? I'm looking for a news story.
Let's look at that.
Yeah. And you have to go back because now all the news stories they're now looking for full approval. So now they want full approval. We want to know what was the date they got their end user emergency use authorization, and what was the date? We have to go back a couple weeks. You have to scroll down. Keep going. It's all going to be full.
Yeah, I mean, we got to go look at this is a bit of research probably December. Better done.
Yeah, past year and December in the search or something like that. So the net of it is we've got remdesivir receives full FDA approval, and then Moderna and Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson don't receive their emergency use authorization in October, or I don't think it was even November.
First COVID vaccination in the United States.
There you go. That's good. That's smart.
White House lays out statement of President Joe Biden, global vaccine. It's all papered over with 2-day-old crap. We're going to have to look this up later because we are out of time, John. But I mean, once again, you come in here, you shake the damn room. Well done.
That's how we do. That's what we do. This is my day job.
It is your day job. Let me just respond to a loser.
All right. So it appears that the emergency use authorization of Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson may be in violation of U.S. code. And so, yes, the FDA's rules are one thing, and that may have been the rationale and the reasoning for why nobody wanted to talk about these other therapeutics. But to me, that's chump change compared to was emergency use authorization granted in a manner that violated U.S. code. If that's fraudulent, my intentions are to run this by Larry Klayman and bring what might be the largest qui tam lawsuit in American history. So let's see what Larry says. Cool. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Yeah,
if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. All right.
Well, John, we're going to break right now. We'll be back in just a few minutes on subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen, patreon.com/IamJohnCullen, and Subscribestar and Patreon/crowdsourcethetruth. This information is so important, and I also want people to realize we would never have gotten to this point, right? John and I wouldn't be doing this show. He would be off doing something else to try to earn money. I would be off doing something else to earn money. If it wasn't for you guys out there, the viewer sponsors that make this show possible, that keep this research going every single week. So please, if you can, become a sponsor on Subscribestar or Patreon, and we will be back in less than 5 minutes with even more in-depth reporting on this amazing topic that John has broken open yet again. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you in 5. Great job.